Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Calhoun's. Folks, when it's hot outside, and it's always hot outside in the summer in East Tennessee, Calhoun's gives you two great options. Enjoy the sun. One, head to one of their outdoor decks and patios, especially those on the water. Or two, grab a Feed 5 or Feed 10 family pack and let them do all the work on a picnic for you, your family, your friends, whatever you want to do there. Calhoun's is always in season at Calhoun's right there. Give them a chance. Give them a call. Calhoun's. Drop by Feed 5. Feed 10 family pack. Okay, we have a lot to run through here. It's story time. I'm going to ask you, we're going to put the graphics up so you can kind of read the exact quotes from what these guys said, sort of the back and forth all week, the only brouhaha that really came up at Media Day for Jeremy Pruitt. And then we'll come back and let these guys give their take. I'll give you my take, etc. But let's get right in. The first one came from Aaron Murray, okay, the former Georgia quarterback, who was on the radio this week. Now, keep in mind, he was not at Georgia when Jeremy Pruitt was. He had left when Pruitt came in. However, he did obviously have friends, coaches, teammates that were still in the program. Well, here's what he had to say about Jeremy Pruitt. Quote, "I don't know if his personality is fit to be a head coach. I don't. As a head coach, there's so many things that go into it. It's not just going out there and coaching. You have to deal with front office. You've got to talk with the president of the university. You have to deal with the boosters. You have to deal with the offense, the defense. It's not just going in there and dealing with kids and scheming up. There's a lot that goes into it, which could be said about any new coach. But I don't think he's the right guy to kind of be the CEO of a corporation. He's really good managing just a defense and being a defensive coordinator. He needs to prove to me that he can handle the whole ship. For right now, I don't think he can. We'll see what happens this year. I don't think it helps that he doesn't have a lot of talent at Tennessee." Murray went on to say, "When he was at Georgia, the way he acted, the way he treated Coach Richt, I thought was poor. He wasn't as respectful as I thought a defensive coordinator should be to a head coach, so that's my thing, with authority. When he's dealing with the athletic director, when he's dealing with the president, when he's dealing with a booster who is given millions of dollars, you can't go tell him to screw off. You have to take the meeting. You have to sit with them. Yeah, I know you want to be game planning and getting ready for the game, but you're a head coach now. You have to do these other things." Okay, well, Jeremy Pruitt was asked about this, and we've got his reply. When asked, he said, "First of all, I hadn't exactly heard what it was that Murray had said. I don't really know Aaron. I have a lot of respect for what kind of player he was, coached against him. I looked at it like this. 15 years ago, I was a kindergarten teacher. You probably don't make that ascension unless you know how to treat people." All right, so then David Pollock, another former Georgia player, also got involved in this. His comments, "The stories that I have heard and some of y'all have heard that came out of Athens that are true from coaches that he's talked to that were on the staff, some of the things Jeremy Pruitt did to Mark Richt, some coaches would tell you are the most disrespectful, most crazy things they'd heard. So I'll be curious to watch Jeremy Pruitt as he evolves with this relationship with Philip Fulmer, because Jeremy Pruitt did a good job when he was with Nick Saban because he knew where he stood. He did a good job with Jimbo Fisher. They let you know where you stand. The hierarchy was very clear. How does he evolve as a head coach?" All right, well, going on that note, Hudson Mason, another Georgia quarterback, this one who was on the team when Jeremy Pruitt was there, he chimed in as well. "A lot of people at Georgia saw how Pruitt handled certain situations. He had blow-ups and antics. Those are well documented. Those happened. I definitely agree with what Murray and Pollock said about being disrespectful. The part I disagree with is I think some of those traits, Pruitt being straightforward, blunt, cutthroat, I think those things might suit him well for having success in this conference. I think this conference and college football in general is a bottom line business, whether you're talking about CEOs in the business world or head football coaches. You got to be able to delegate and motivate in those things. People in the locker room saw those situations, the blow-ups and antics. Those things happened. That was disrespectful and he crossed the line. But part of that was also, why doesn't Coach Richt stick up for himself and put Pruitt in his place? He was the head man. Interesting from a guy who was there. All right, so Nick Saban was then asked about Jeremy Pruitt and all this stuff, and his take was, I can only speak about the experience that I had with Jeremy Pruitt. He's a player's coach. He did a fantastic job for us. He was always very respectful and loyal. He was always fair and honest in his approach and how he did things. I've never seen that side. It's really surprising to me when I heard him say that, because I've never seen it. That's just, that's not to say it didn't happen, but Jeremy Pruitt did a fantastic job for us." So Pruitt was then asked about Georgia and Richt. He kind of danced around it a little bit. "You know, Coach Richt, you know, the things he taught you. One thing, probably the biggest thing to me, is there's more to life than football." Something you probably wouldn't say about Jimbo Fisher or Nick Saban. I know that sounds, but there is. And you know, one of these days that you're not going to care how many championships you win and all that. So I'm thankful for the opportunity. My time in Athens, I loved it, built a lot of relationships, and now obviously we play on the 4th week and Kirby's there, and I'm sure I'll want to beat him and he'll want to beat me. Dance, dance, dance. Next, Mark Richt was asked about it, and Mark Richt had a chance to get him off the hook. Mark Richt's the nicest guy in the world, and his comment at ACC Media Days was simply, here's the deal. I'm at Miami, he is at Tennessee. I'm going to talk about Miami, and I'm sure he wants to talk about Tennessee. So we'll leave it at that. Chip Towers, longtime Georgia beat writer, tremendous beat writer. Everybody respects this guy. He wrote about Aaron Murray's comments, and he said, so Murray knew about the explosive coaches meetings where one-time fellow assistants had to hold back an offensive coach to keep him from punching Pruitt. He'd heard about the derogatory remarks Pruitt made about Richt in front of the team on the practice field in the spring of 2015. He knew about the blow-up in the dining hall and the complaints lodged in the athletic director's office. Then he goes on to say, I knew about a lot of these things too. That's why I share some of the same skepticism that Murray does about Pruitt being a good fit for the job of head coach at a major college program. At the end of the day, protocol, decorum, and subordination are all part of that vocation, and Pruitt clearly was deficient in those areas. And then he says, in regards to whether he thinks he'll survive and how much fun, he says, no, I'm absolutely fascinated with Pruitt's tenure at Tennessee. It's like I'm walking into a cold, dark theater, popcorn in hand, and getting ready to watch a mystery thriller. You don't really know how it's going to turn out, but you know it's going to be good. Interesting stuff from a lot of different people on this Jeremy Pruitt thing. Yeah. When we come back, I'm going to get all these guys to chime in, and I'll tell you what I think. Come on back on the Sports Source.